Okay, I'm now going to go silent. The next time you'll hear from me is whenever the stream is live. I believe the stream is live.
But wait, there's more. Just when you think you can't get enough of USI election candidates, they're each here about to offer a 1-minute summary as to why you should vote for them. We'll start with the Vice President for Postgraduate Affairs, and we'll offer Adam Clark up to 1 minute to give his sales pitch.
Sales pitch, very generous term. Thank you very much, Richard. Just to say, I suppose that the postgraduate experience, while it is its own unique sort of kettle of fish, at the same time, there's a lot of overlap with just general student issues. So that is to say, I intend to do a lot of core work that can be I can do in cooperation with the rest of the USI team, which I'm hopefully looking forward to doing with your vote. It falls down to expanding the postgraduate network, building on the excellent work done by my predecessor, making the work we do in USI more accessible for postgraduate students, and then working on key issues like making sure part-time educators are funded for their work so as to benefit both them and the students, and just to ensure overall that the postgraduate experience continues to improve in Ireland. So I hope you consider me for the position, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Our candidate for Vice President for Postgraduate Affairs. So now we'll move on to the candidate for Lasúchtan Don Gaeilge, Cleanly Duffy, up to 1 minute to set out your sales pitch.
Carmilla, a carded to call Viclain a vet in a gannery na Harry Moore associated to Tatrish Tarlu an Ireland show the Coog being news. We have a unique opportunity as an organisation that functions mainly through English, but we have a full-time role for the Irish language to demand our Ceartachanga or language rights north and south. Wallum and Rollshaw Usod go make Aintsmacklin Erin Anta mar agriat atá chomanta August Brogil Asanchanga a Kirkin. Tá orin jet chuir de gach duine an Gaeilge a Elam, agus tá orin cuiinú Keiko Trasnagus Antanga. Tá caintóirí Gaeilge atá faoi bí cumas, tá caintóirí Gaeilge den cinna daite, tá caintóirí Gaeilge atá ina cónaí is soláthar díreach, agus tá orin cuiinú ar siúd nar táid géirí ar Gcuid Ceartachanga Wintamach. There's nothing I am more passionate about than the Irish language. If by the end of my term this year, if everyone that I've worked with or anyone that I meet has even one more word of Irish, then they may harvest osta. So Curgy, we're winning on them. Put your faith in me for a second year. August Conky voted on sa Cleanly Duffy my last year on Don Gaeilge. Gurmagat.
Okay, thank you, Cleena. Our candidate for Lasúchtan Don Gaeilge. We'll now move on to the candidates for the Vice President for the Dublin region, Megan O'Neill and Dean Murphy. So in the last round of questions, Megan went first. So this time, Dean, you can go first.
Yeah, no problem. Congress, we have a lot of strength in this student movement, and now more than ever, students are going to need to be supported during and after the COVID-19 crisis. We will need to adapt and prepare ourselves to deal with a very uncertain year. I know that you, the students, and the student union officers in the Dublin region are dedicated and passionate towards the student movement. And I know that if we come together as a unit through this pandemic and into the future, we can achieve so much more. I know that I can aid the forward progression of the Dublin region, and I can support the Dublin region, and I will listen to you and our students and work for a better future for our students within the Dublin region. Whether we are together or socially distanced from afar, this year we will make the Dublin region an even stronger year, and we will fight for our students and we will support one another no matter what challenges face us going forward. Congress, if you want someone who's passionate about the student movement, who wants to see a results-driven year and is dedicated to improving and supporting the welfare of students and member organisations within the Dublin region. Vote Dean Murphy, number 1 for Vice President of the Dublin region, and I won't let you down. Thank you very much, Congress, for listening. Gur míle maith agad agus ní airt Carla Céile.
Thank you, Dean. Megan, you have up to 1 minute for your sales pitch.
Yeah, if elected, I'll be a strong, caring and passionate representative. I'll provide support post-COVID-19, creating a strategic plan on how to adapt to life after COVID. Most importantly, I'll be a strong support system for both MOs and the students in which they represent. I will strengthen the relationship of the Dublin region by weekly check-ins, campus visits and open and honest communication, and importantly, understanding each individual MO and their needs. I'll fight for publicly funded education, accommodation rights and putting an end to deportations. I care about grassroots campaigns as they make us unique, and I want to hold a self-care workshop for students in leadership positions. I will support MOs going through the TU process as I have knowledge of both small and large organisations. Most importantly, in a year like no other Congress, I will be an officer like no other. I will be that Monday morning email on a TD's desk. I'm driven, I care deeply about student issues, and I will strive every day to be better for the Dublin region. In Yarka Carla Céile, Gurv Míle Maith, please vote me, Megan O'Neill, Vice President for the Dublin region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Megan and Dean, our candidates for the Vice President for the Dublin region. We move on to Ciara Keeley, Vice President for the Southern region. Up to 1 minute for your sales pitch.
Okay, so just to give a quick summary, I really would be honoured to be the Vice President of the Southern region in this term, because I'm so passionate about student rights and the student movement, and I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to work with student unions and students across the Southern region and be a voice and a support for them, not just to support, but to also be able to represent them and have their voice actually heard and listened to. I've done a lot this year, and I'd really like to be able to continue kind of being a support system there for students. Also, I'd like just really would appreciate your vote tomorrow between 3 and 7 to be number 1 for the Vice President for the Southern region. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ciara, the candidate for Vice President for the Southern region. We'll now move on to Gary Tobin, the candidate for Vice President for Border Midlands and Western region. Up to 1 minute for your sales pitch, Gary.
Okay, so over the last several weeks, we as a movement have shown a tremendous ability to adapt and overcome under radical and unprecedented circumstances. There's still much work to do, however, and with the new and incoming students facing more barriers and challenges than ever, it has never been more important that each of us have each other. And with this thought in mind that we should look towards the future with positivity and hope for the journey ahead. Together, we will work like never before as we reimagine the way in which we plan, implement our orientations, trainings, campaigns, and events, taking the concepts of communication and engagement to new and extraordinary levels together, using the harder challenges as a best opportunity for us to grow both individually and collectively as a region and a movement. Should you elect me to the position of VP for the Border Midlands and Western region, know that I intend to be a direct source of contact, support, and guidance for each of you in these endeavours, and as we work towards making the kind of future that we would like to see a reality. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me, and please vote Tobin.
Yeah, thank you, Gary, the candidate for the Vice President for Border Midlands and Western region. So we'll move on to Vice President for Equality and Citizenship. Maria Lyons, up to 1 minute for your sales pitch.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Accorda, as a movement, we've achieved so much over the 60 years of our existence, and have been at the forefront of numerous social issues, fighting for positive change and transforming Irish society. Although this year has been different to others, there is still so much we need to achieve to break the barriers to education. I feel we have an opportunity for change this year, with a new government, a new education environment, and a dramatic change in the way we learn and communicate with one another. I see this time of change as an opportunity and to make a massive impact and reform how we learn. I'm here before you asking you to place your trust in me once again. I believe we cannot impact change alone, and I promise to continue to work with you and for you and ensure that 374,000 of our members feel they can reach out to and develop their national union. Tomorrow, I urge you to vote Marie Lyons, number 1 for the position of Vice President for Equality and Citizenship. Gurv Míle Maith.
Okay, thank you, Marie, our candidate for Vice President for Equality and Citizenship. So we move on to the Vice President for Campaigns, where we have Aidan Donnelly and Craig McHugh. So I think, Aidan, you went first in the last of the questions. So Craig, you might go first this time.
Thanks. Delegates, I've been fighting this fight ever since the moment I realised our system was broken. We need to prioritise access. Our fees, the highest in the European Union in the south, and the risk still prevalent in the north of fees rising. It needs to be brought to an end. Education is a public good, and government policy needs to reflect that. We need adequate supports, we need funding, and we need the barriers knocked down, not more struck up. As we face into a recession, students need to be supported, not demonised. We have an accommodation crisis with no end in sight, students' deportations, the far right on the rise, our language rights unfulfilled, members of the LGBT community still not equal citizens. The issues are many, but our movement is strong. We have plenty of proof to show that when we come together, we can drive change and serious change be it. We will knock down these barriers and we will have a fairer society. I have the passions, the plans, and the proven experience of grassroots activism, direct action, and also the nitty-gritty of making sure what we say is backed up with evidence. Delegates for United Movement in these tumultuous times, I'm asking for your support. Ní Nearcha Curla Céile, vote all Craig McHugh for VP campaigns Amoric.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Aidan.
Thanks. I'm a tirelessly committed activist and campaigner, both on student issues and on wider liberation issues. I have years of experience on the front lines of student activism, from occupations and marches to rallies and canvassing. As VP for campaigns, I want to get directly involved, not just with students' unions, but with grassroots activists on the ground, fighting for fair and affordable rents, for Irish language rights, for accessibility, for LGBTQ rights, against direct provision, and against any form of oppression or bigotry that impacts on them or wider society. As a student activist, I understand what it means not to be listened to by the powers that be. Unis to continue hiking your fees and landlords to keep raising the rents year on year while you struggle to get by working a job in order to support your education. Frederick Douglass once said that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. As VP for campaigns, I want to help galvanize students into action to make those demands on their campaigns, strengthen their resolve, carry those demands out to the finish, and to ensure that that power concede to that demand. And that's why I want you to vote for me for VP campaigns. Míle maigah, ní Nearcha Curla Céile agus Berbua.
Okay, thank you. So that's been Aidan and Craig, your candidates for Vice President for campaigns. We'll now move on to Vice President for Welfare, where we have Claire Ostick and Rory Viner. Claire, I think you answered first on the last question, so Rory, we'll let you go first on this occasion.
Sure, Míle maigah. In terms of things that didn't come up in the Q&A there, I do want to work on some other things. For example, the link between access and welfare. For example, students with disabilities may need on-campus accommodation, but then they're exploited by extortionate rents. So that's something I want to work on, and other access issues. The link between LGBT issues and welfare as well. The likes of trans healthcare is something I would like to work on, and work with other organizations to support them. In terms of mental health, obviously, you probably know that's my biggest focus, and I have a lot of experience as a mental health activist. And I am a committed lobbyist, so I want to bring my focus on lobbying to USI and get some really big concessions in the coming year. I also want to have a renewed focus on housing and lobbying around housing to get students more rights and accommodations such as digs. And then I want a big review of SUSI so that SUSI supports students sufficiently to actually make it through college without having to skip lectures to go to work every week like I did. So vote all them staff, please vote for me. Gur Míle maigah.
Okay, thank you, Rory. Claire?
Yeah, hey everyone, so I hope you're enjoying the Congress experience so far. So I think we're all aware that we're facing very new challenges. We're entering an uncertain period, which means it'll require new ways of thinking and adapting to the world around us. There's going to be many new challenges when it comes to welfare, around accommodation, finances, access to services, the way we engage, and running effective campaigns. So this new way of offering support and changing the way in which we function is going to require someone who is experienced, who is committed to the cause, and who is so passionate about students and the student experience that they have. All of my time in the student movement, campaigning, lobbying, representing student voices, and growing into the leader I am today has led me up until this point. I am so ready to take on these new challenges and fight for you on a national level. Every SU, every officer, every student matters to me. I care about your well-being, and I really hope you place your trust in me to be the next VP for welfare, and that we can drive the welfare agenda forward and work in the spirit together in cooperation and togetherness. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Claire. So it's been Claire and Rory, your candidates for Vice President for Welfare. Vice President for Academic Affairs, we've got Kevin and Fergal. I think, Fergal, it's your turn to go first.
Okay. My name is Fergal Toomey. I have experience as a housing activist in the Connolly Youth Movement's Connolly Barracks in Cork, and as a trade union activist in the Independent Workers Union. I'm running for academic affairs because I think there needs to be a radical and overtly socialist voice in the union. While student activism might seem more traditionally linked to campaigns, it is ultimately the academic experience that is suffering from attacks on the livelihoods of students. It's impossible to speak about equality or support in academic affairs when students are working long hours for low pay while at college to afford excessive rents. Social change and the transformation of the purpose and orientation of the tertiary institute needs to take place. There can't be any advances in quality, delivery, or content of education until the urgent social reality facing students is addressed. Fundamentally, my campaign is a campaign for change to explore new solutions to problems that have stagnated to the point of being accepted as the norm in housing, workplace rights. I want to not only equip people with information, but provide them the purpose and social context they need to apply it to change the world. I want to work with the campaigns officer to build a students' tenants union. I want to promote student agency and self-direction as the core of my approach. And I plan to model this based around consultative meetings and work to form local activist groups that are self-sustaining and train young activists in methods of organizing people that will enable them to make a lifelong commitment to community advocacy. I think this would serve as a strong support for academic officers. When they need backing on a key issue, they can rely on a large turnout from the student body and rapid publicization of their issues. We need to remove the separation of students from the rest of the workforce. I call for a better future, not more of the same. Vote for me,
Thank you,
vote for
Fergal.
change.
Time. Kevin.
Thank you. Congress, last year you placed your faith in me. I told you my priority was to amplify your voice and to tackle the issues that you and students like you are facing. That priority is unchanged. COVID-19 has not only altered how we do things in the short term, but it's going to have massive repercussions in the long term too. There's a pressing need for substantial investment in education. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road and hoping national fees will fill the gap. That ship has sailed. Students must have a seat around every table. SUs must be supported and protected. Student engagement must not be a buzzword, but part of the fabric of every college. I've loved every last year because I live and breathe student representation. Every action I carry out is with the sole aim of improving your education. Elect someone with the experience, passion and hunger to represent you with pride. Re-elect Kevin, and let's finish what we said. There is no strength without unity. Vote Kevin, number 1.
Okay, so thank you both, Kevin and Fergal, your candidates for Vice President for Academic Affairs. So that brings us on to the position of President. Lorna Fitzpatrick, you have up to 1 minute for your sales pitch.
Good, Richard. Congress, I've had the pleasure and honour of being your USI President this year, and I'm asking for your vote to be re-elected to the position of President of the Union of Students in Ireland. The challenges our movement face are vast. COVID-19 has led to our movement and our world changing dramatically, and I believe we need a strong and experienced voice at the table fighting on your behalf. Congress, I am that voice. Breaking the barriers to accessing education in all their forms and ensuring quality education in the blended or online world will remain a priority. I will continue working to make our society a fairer place for all. I stood before you last year asking for your support to lead the change we needed to see within the national student movement, and we have made great strides towards achieving that change. I have spent the vast majority of the last decade fighting on behalf of students to improve their student experience, and I want to continue to lead a team that is dedicated to doing just that. So Congress, for one final time, please vote Lorna Fitzpatrick to be your next USI President. Gur míle mágwibh agus ní nearcha cur le chéile.
Okay, thank you, Lorna. If all the candidates would like to turn on their cameras and give their admiring voters a final wave, we'll draw the session to a close. Again, best of luck to all of you tomorrow.